Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to HealMyTech, helping you read. Insha Allah, today we're going to start this series with the first Tajweed rule lesson, and we're going to start with Surah An Nas, and we're going to pick one Tajweed rule, which is the lesson 10 in the PDF version of your Tajweed Made Easy. I did mention previously in my introduction video that I was going to start with Surah Al Fateha. However, upon reflection, it was going to be way too many rules to explain, and the video will be quite lengthy. So I decided to keep it simple. I'm going to give you, bite-size rules, inshallah. So one rule per lesson per surah. After we complete all the rules we need to learn for this series, then we're going to go back to each surah and try to implement all the rules, including correcting Surah Al Fateha, inshallah. So if you have just stumbled on this video, this is my second or third video. I'm going to put a link up above in the card and the description below for where you can go and where you can locate and download these free resources that we're going to be using for this series, inshallah. Okay, so let's get started. The lesson for today is called the nasal sound or Ghunnah, and that's lesson 10. If anywhere in the Quran you see a noon or a meme with a tajdeed on top, then lengthen for 1 second with a nasal sound. Now, the Ghunnah sound is a sound which comes from your nasal cavity or the nose, and it's actually a sound which is much exaggerated from many people and who seem to be reading with a constant Ghunnah throughout their recitation. The Ghunnah usually is a minor mistake. It's not considered a major mistake. That means it will not change the meaning of the Quran. However, many scholars do say that if you deliberately keep making small mistakes despite being made aware, you should make an effort to correct that or learn the proper way, because it may lead to major mistake. But inshallah, we should always try to do the best tajweed possible as we can. Let's go for it. The first word we're going to practice now, noon with a shadda or meme with a shadda. We call this the rule of mushadda. And as far as I know, there is no exception for this rule. So anywhere in the Quran where you see a shadda or the noon or the meme, you will apply this rule. Now, here in this book, it mentions 1 second in terms of length for the Tajweed rule, which is in this case Ghunnah. I prefer to use beats than seconds because it can be confusing. Now, do bear in mind that 1 second means 2 beats, and you count with your finger, you go 1, 2, that's 2 beats. So I will be referring to beats rather than seconds. So all you need to know, if a book or anyone says make a stretch for 1 second, they mean stretch for 2 beats. If they say stretch for 2 seconds, they mean stretch for 3 beats. I hope you get the idea. You just need to add 1. So I'm going to keep referring to beats. It's a lot easier to count on the fingers. First word, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna. A few notes here. First, do not try to change the pitch of the Ghunnah up and down more than 1 time. I'll give you an example. Don't go like this. That, some scholars, they say this is like singing. It's no longer tajweed. Now, 1 pitch change is okay. Like you could do in is fine. But any more than that, it will become singing. So try to avoid it. And second point is, if a student, a beginner Tajweed student, wants to do more than 2 beats, it's absolutely fine. Many teachers of mine have said for them to practice, it's okay to do more than 2 beats, no problem. Eventually, inshallah, try to bring it down to 2 beats only. But you can go 3 beats, maybe even more in some cases. Okay? So again, in easy. Now, next word. Now, this one can be tricky for 2 reasons. One, there is a alif with a fatha, so it makes it a long beat. And also, some people will extend the Ghunnah from the noon into the alif as well, the mad alif. And here's what they will say. They will say, inna, na, na. And that's not correct. Instead, you should say, inna. So you stop the Ghunnah on the noon. As soon as you leave the noon, you don't extend or exaggerate the Ghunnah into the alif, which is a very, very common mistake. So once again, here's what not to do. Do not do inna, na, not correct. But instead, inna, The has to be without Ghunnah. Okay, and it comes from the empty space of the mouth. Okay, next word. Innaka. Next. Minna. Okay, so this was for the Noon Shadda. Now let's take the Mim Shadda. Thumma. Falamma. Again here, do not extend the Ghunnah into the alif. Do not say falamma. Ma. That's not correct. Okay, ma'a. Ma'a. Falamma. Next. Amma. Summun. Okay, right. So the way to do the Ghunnah for the Noon, you stick your tip of your tongue at the top behind your teeth or even touching the palate. So inna. Whereas for the Mim, the makhraj for that is you press your outer lip. You know, the lips has two parts, the outer and the inner. The outer is the dry part. So you make sure the outer parts, the dry parts touch. It's kind of pressed a bit. Thumma. Okay, cool. Now, inshallah, let's move to some examples of actual words and phrases in the Quran. Although the top ones were also from the Quran. Let's do some practice, inshallah. Jahannama. Next. Inna alladhina ka'annaka abdan min a'yunin nasi ضاحكا من سحر مبين جنة قوما ما والناس منهم مقتصد نفس ماذا من النار بينة من ولكن. So in this type of Ghunnah, make a very clear N or Noon sound and lengthen for 1 second, or we prefer to say 2 beats. So when you pronounce these examples or any other examples from the Quran, then automatically the nasal sound will come. Don't try to think about the nasal sound too much. Just think about the lengthening process. Okay, for example, you say Jahannama. Innahu. Now here, notice some people will have a tendency to extend the Ghunnah onto the ha. They go like this. Innahu. Hu. Right? Try to remember that after you say the Noon, na, and then ha. Sorry, it comes from the bottom throat, the ha. So innahu. Ha, ha. Not hu. Okay? Next. Jinnati. Okay, and that's the end of lesson 10. Quite easy. Like I said, there is, as far as I know, no exception in Hafs and Asim for Noon Shadda and Mim Shadda. Anytime you see this, try to make it 2 beats and the Ghunnah. Okay, Insha Allah. And also do not exaggerate. If the next letter after this is not a Ghunnah letter, then don't extend it to the next letter. Now we're going to go and do a practical application of this, and we're going to check out, Insha Allah, Surah An Nas. For today, I'm going to use this app called House of Quran. Feel free to use any app that you prefer. There is also Quran Explorer. You can also use any phone app, or you can use YouTube. Whatever you want to use is fine. So I'm going to ask you to listen to Surah An Nas, which is Surah 114 in the Quran. And all I want you to focus on today is just listen for the Noon Shadda. In this surah, there is no Mim Shadda. And there's also plenty of other rules, but we're going to be learning one rule at a time, inshallah. So I think there's about 11 occasions of Noon Shadda where we're applying the rule we've just learned. So inshallah, let's listen for this.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
Okay, mashallah. Don't forget to recite A'udhu Billah before you start reciting Quran, Insha Allah. We're going to go through it again, and I'm going to point you to where we are applying the rule of this Ghunnah, this noon with a shadda. There is no mim shadda in this one, but it should be the same thing. And I do apologize, I said it was 11 places. There's only 7 places where we have the noon shadda. Okay? So, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس. This is the first one. So برب الناس. And remember, do not extend or exaggerate the Ghunnah onto the alif of the noon here. So do not say برب الناس. Okay, be careful. It's برب الناس. Next. ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. And the last two, one is on jinnati, the other one is on wannas. So minal jinnati wannas. Okay? So in our next lesson, we are going to cover the Surah Al Falaq. So I'm going to go in order from Surah An Nas, Al Falaq, Ikhlas, etc. And inshallah, we're going to cover all the rules as we see them. So it so happens the next lesson is going to be dealing with the Qalqalah or echo letters rule. And there's 5 of them. So inshallah, we shall meet again. And I want to end this by stating, do remember that this series or this kind of learning and teaching is not a replacement for a fully qualified Tajweed teacher with ijaza. Inshallah, do try to find someone who can listen to you and correct you. I'm just hoping that this will create an awareness and make you appreciate the science of Tajweed to take it further. Also, if I have done any mistakes, please forgive me. It is from Shaitan and from myself. And please do get in touch with me if you do hear any mistakes, and I will correct them. And if there is any goodness in what you've learned today and in what I have taught, then it is from Allah. Also, last thing, I do have a second channel which is called HealMyTech, and I would appreciate if you go and check it out. I teach people how to repair their tech. I do reviews and tutorials, and it's got nothing to do with Islam or Tajweed. I keep that separate, and if you feel that would benefit you or other people, please check it out, subscribe to that one, and also share it with others. And inshallah, this is the end of this lesson today, so please remember to subscribe, so it will help me to continue making these lessons. And leave me a comment or question below. And do remember, I am not a scholar but a student of Tajweed. However, if you have any questions, I will try my best to ask a Tajweed scholar that I know, that I study from. And also, please do not send me any other types of questions like fiqh or aqidah. I am not a scholar. I will ignore them. I will not reply to them. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.